Welcome to Hope to Home, the podcast where hope meets action. I'm Nick, and I'm here with my co-host John. Together, we're shining a light on the stories of resilience and courage from those facing homelessness. Each episode, we break down barriers, spark conversations, and explore how, as a community, we can make a real difference. It's all about understanding and hope, bringing people together to create lasting change. So join us as we journey from hope to home, one conversation at a time. Hey friends, what you are about to hear is a conversation that John and I had with Linda at a McDonald's 2 weeks after the pit count. This was going to be a simple conversation to finish up her story that we started last episode. But at the outset, she told us that she was, for the first time in a very long time, a week clean. This is our conversation with her, working through whether she felt ready for a drug program to try and take on the hard task of leaving those drugs for good.
You know, and I'm
okay, so
he's still alive.
Let's fast forward to today.
Yeah.
You're a week clean.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
I got a bracelet for you, sister.
When is the next
Celebrate Recovery
Thank
on Friday
you.
nights.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a Friday night Celebrate
Yes.
Recovery. You gonna go?
Mhm.
I'll meet you at the door.
I'd
And
be willing to check it out. Yeah.
have you thought about any treatment or anything anywhere? Have you thought
I've
about
tried,
a battered woman
but-
shelter or anything? Because you're not
Right.
being battered right now, no. But you have been.
Right.
And there's a lot of trauma that comes with that battering.
Oh yeah. I've been battered as recently as during the trip. Yeah.
So what I want to know,
But yeah.
are you gonna? Are you?
I would
Are
go
you?
get
Do you want to
treatment.
be clean?
Yeah. I want it more than anything. Actually,
Do you want to get help?
I would love to do it. I was turned away. I tried actually recently in the last few months. I had called several different and tried getting into these rehabs, and I was told my insurance wouldn't approve because I have both, or I don't know if the Blue Cross Blue Shield is still active now.
Okay, so you've been trying to get rehab,
Yeah,
but your
but
insurance will cover it.
They wanted $5,000 up front,
Yeah, sure.
and I'm homeless, unemployed.
Right now you're staying at your dad's, right?
So
At
right
night?
now I'm staying at my dad's, and right now it's just mostly been because of even though I since coming back, I was given some, even though I got given it, I was like,
Did you use it?
I wanted to, and I even went to, but then I was like, no. I was like, it's just,
Thank God. Thank God.
and my friend who gave it to me, they were like, dude, that I'm really grateful to that friend because they that's what they do is they'll have if they're doing one of the periods where they won't use, they're like, I'll have it for if I want to, but that it's then me making the choice,
Right.
and that almost
But in your mind, it's like to know that you have it.
yeah, exactly
You don't want it as bad.
exactly that
But
to
if
me,
you don't have it, you're going to go get it.
yeah,
But if you have it in your possession, it's easier to quit. I
exactly,
understand that.
and so that's it's
So what John's here.
right,
Totally baffled
yeah.
by that whole logic, but that's cool.
I
because
understand.
it's like you're making the active choice instead of it controlling you. You're controlling
You are
it.
actively quitting it.
Yeah, it's not controlling you anymore, and so that's you're making the choice because you have the option.
Yep.
I mean, I could go find some little hiding spot and I could go use her now.
Yep.
But I don't want to.
I'm
just
glad that you don't want to.
Me too.
right.
I'm interested to know if you don't want to enough to go to a Celebrate Recovery.
I
get
would
help.
be happy
And get-
to
and
come
get
to
help.
Celebrate Recovery, and I mean, I
If I can plug you into some places.
and get
you
any help I could get.
Have you thought about Team Challenge?
I don't know what Team Challenge is, to be honest.
You go to a facility for a year, 12 months,
right.
and they
You got speaker.
and they will literally teach you so much
I
about
mean,
everything,
right now,
about addictions, about everything.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Where's it at?
There's one in Muskegon,
Mhm.
and there's a new one right over here in Elkhart.
Yeah.
The old Bear Factory.
Oh yeah.
They used to make medications. They used to kind of cause
Oh
problems.
wow.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Ironically,
That's what
now
they're
it's not
turning
that
around,
anymore.
you
Now
know,
it's not that anymore. And
That's
it's a Team Challenge.
Interesting.
And-
I'm willing to
I take it
do.
you don't have to be a teen to be in Teen Challenge?
Nope, it's Teen and Adult
It's an
Challenge.
awkward
Okay,
name, but
so
or it's a
I
misleading
was like,
name, I guess.
the name
It started as
kind of
Teen
mislead-
Challenge, and it was just for teens.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But the less relapse rate that they had for the teens, they started doing it with adults. And so so in 5 years, they go back and check to see who the people that went through their program.
Mhm.
And in 5 years, there's still only a 15% relapse.
Wow.
In people.
So what would Linda have to do to sign up for a teen challenge?
Like, I mean, I'd be willing, like, because right now, I mean, I don't really get
fill
an
out an
opportunity.
application.
Like, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what kind of felonies do you have?
I have none. I mean,
you have
like,
to fill
I
out
was
an
just
application, or what does she got to do?
yeah.
You can go online. I can call down to a couple places.
And
it,
you know, I'd have to
You can
wait.
John needs trifocals.
No, he doesn't.
Trifocals or something.
He looks through the bottom of his cup. And it magnifies it. I have a couple numbers right here that you can start to call. And don't give up on the first one.
Right.
You call until somebody accepts you.
Yeah.
And we'll get you there.
Because, like, I've been trying, and so far, it's always been financial that stopped me.
Is it cost anything?
They would like the person to have a bus ticket. You take a bus ticket with them.
Okay.
Teen Challenge doesn't charge you anything.
Okay, so
Really?
Teen Challenge.
Yeah,
But there's
I
a bus
really-
ticket just in case
Right.
you decide, because it's like the drugs in your pocket.
Right.
You decide whether you're staying or going.
Right. That's fair.
It's free will.
Right.
They don't hold you against your will.
You know, shoot. Like, I mean, I'm sure, like, if
And
I were to
it's-
tell my mom or dad that, like, or anyone in my family,
I mean, you're going back to your dad tonight. You think he would give you a bus ticket to do that?
I mean, probably wouldn't be able to do it today,
Uh-huh.
just because of my family's finances. I mean, my dad and sister are basically, like, bordering, could be homeless, even though dad's working, but in Cora is not, and everything. It's just, you know, cost of living type of deal, you know, and dad's health.
So I have.
But, I mean, if I mean, I would be willing to go tonight. Like, I mean, I would want to go back to the apartment, pack, grab a thing, but, like, otherwise, bye, guys. Quickly start my life over and be able to get my kid back, you know? I mean, I have full custody of him still, but just...
This would be a process that would help you get your kid back.
Yeah, like, I have all legal custody. It's just, I just don't have a place to live, and
if you put a year of this under your belt,
and
you would have a leg to stand on to get your kid back.
Yeah, and, like, that's what I want more than anything. I went from being super mom, like, everyone kept telling me, like, even what with the struggles with the sleep disorder, that, you know, I worked full time, and then on my days off, I was taking care of my apartment. I paid for my apartment by myself. I paid for my car, you know, and I took care of my kid. And I was helping watch my neighbors' kids even to, you know, help, you know, make sure that my kid had the experience. You know, I did it all on my own, dang near. I mean, I did have, like, support as, you know, friends, you know, emotional support, but not financial, really. And so, like, you know, I want to get back to just at least being able to have my kid again, you know, be able to be mom. That would be in the world to me, because he's my world.
So
he's my reason why I've been pretty much, like, besides the disrespect and everything that happened and other things, like, I especially with my scare of having to get tested, like, I'm like, dude, my kid, he doesn't deserve any of this that's been happening, and I hate that he's had to suffer as you know, go without me, like, you know, as long as he's had to, and, you know, not been able to, you know, be the mom I was. And I want to get back to that. Like, and I don't want him to ever have to be like, man, my mom, you know, chose drugs over me. And it's bad enough I took a year to wake up from the...
Don't look at what happened. Let's look at what can happen.
Yeah,
right
exactly. And I'm grateful. Thank you.
I love you, sister, and I believe in you. Like, I believe in you 100%. I believe God got me off drugs.
Like, a lot of people...
He can get you off drugs.
Right.
Here's 13 phone numbers.
Yeah.
To places that will help. And we'll get you there. You have to be responsible.
Oh, yeah, I'll call.
You have to be responsible.
I actually know Pine Rest, actually.
You have John's number, right?
Yeah. I just got a new phone. The S7, it, you know, being old and outdated, it finally was giving up. And so I paid the $42 and just transferred my SIM. But so same number, but I have to try to get the S7 to get your number.
Yeah.
But I'll make sure to do that. Or if you want to message.
Yeah, John,
I believe in you. I believe in you.
Because not a
and
lot
I
of
believe
people
if
do.
God can get me off drugs, he can get anyone off of drugs.
You do know John's story, right?
To be honest, like, I the only story I had heard on your podcast was David's, because I was just like, I knew some of it because I've been around for some of his, you know, and I haven't finished the second part, but, like, the first part, I was like, wow, yeah, John, David, like, David, tell it. Like, man, like, you and I are, like, being honest about what it's like. And, like, man, hearing it, it's weird because, like, when you're going through it, it's just, it doesn't, that's what life is. It doesn't, you can't.
You're in the situation. You're not looking at the situation at all.
Yeah. And so when listening to David's and then realizing, like, man, like, that's fucked up. Wow, that sounds scary as hell. But then I'm like, I've been in similar, and it just doesn't dawn on you until
20 years ago. The reason why I know what you're talking about is if you got it, you can quit it.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, the way I quit
Mm-hmm.
was I had to know that I had it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Or I had to know that I had it hiding in the closet.
Yeah, that's been, like, weirdly great.
It took me a year and a half of being clean to get rid of that.
Yeah.
After having it free, I just had to know I had it to quit.
Right.
I understand what you're saying.
And,
most people look at
I'm
you
glad
like,
that you did it. And I want to.
You're crazy.
I mean, my longest stretch in my entire life was 5.5 years. My entire life, 5.5 years clean. Like,
I've been clean.
I want to get back to that because I had a life.
Me and my wife
I had
been
friends.
clean 20 years.
I don't hardly have any friends, really. I mean, I have friends. I can't say I don't have any, but, like, friends that I could just go out and hang out and do something fun with, where drugs aren't involved. Or
you have to find a church. Do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus?
I grew up Christian. I just
have you let him go for a long time?
I don't know how to put it. It's not that I let him go. It's just, for me, it was more the fact of, I know that there is something else, or an afterlife, because when I was 18, I had overdosed on Seroquel. I tried killing myself, and I technically died and came back, and I experienced something, but I couldn't, like, even if I were to describe it, like, everyone who I've told, they tell me I was in hell.
Yep.
Because I, committed suicide. But then it bothered me, though, because I was like, even though, like, my initial reaction to it was unnerved, not trying to go into all that, but, my wherever I was after that initial, like, oh, whoa, like, this is kind of, what the fuck is this?
Right.
But as soon as I realized, okay, I'm dead, and, oh, this kind of is the same, like, almost like perfect metaphor for how I felt in life, of not I couldn't see anyone, but I could hear them, and I couldn't speak, and I always have felt, even now, that no one sees me and no one hears me.
Yep.
So why should my afterlife be any different? And it was, I suddenly had, like, this weird feeling of acceptance, and then, like, that's when I was, like, surrounded by this, light thing, and told that I was going back. It's not my time yet. I would understand later. And, I woke up the next morning like nothing happened, even though the doctors all said I should have died. It didn't state that. They didn't think I was going to live, and they had sat there and estimated I would be out a week in a coma if I did survive. That's how much Seroquel I took. And I woke up that next morning like nothing happened, perfectly, and so I know that there's a higher power there. I know that there's something else, but then because of my just wanting to know, what I believe in, I'm like, I grew up Christian, and I I'm not saying that God and Jesus all that don't exist, because I believe they do, but to say that that's the one, the only right one, when every, according, compared to the other religions, it's baby religion, but every religion has the same basic premise. And even Jesus in the Bible, because I did a lot of research, he had said, if you follow the basic, the most important commandment in all of the Bible, or the 10 Commandments, was love thy neighbor as thyself. As long as you did that, basically, don't be a human being, care for people, don't do people wrong, you could reach, he said, people could reach the kingdom of heaven, and I never hear about me.
Yeah.
And so for me, I will never deny that Jesus or God, because I do believe in them, and there's enough evidence that they were even real people and all that. But then for me to say that, the other religions are wrong, that's where my issue is for me to force my views and belief on others. That's where I'm like, I can't do that. If they want, come to me and say, hey, can you tell me about, then hell yeah, I'll talk all day. But then for me to just say, yeah, you're pagan, or, oh, hey, you're you're wrong. You're going to hell. Like, I don't know. A lot of the modern, like, judgment issues that I've, and I, even in school, and I mean, the kids knew I went to church with kids.
Okay.
I was in the worship team. They knew, and yeah. But no, I was praying on the way here.
I know that
And
it can change all these things.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, and
Jesus
I prayed to
will
him
change
as
your
I was
life.
on my way, and it's just the church itself that I have an issue, but I don't have an issue
I'm
with
not
God.
I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about the church. I'm talking about Jesus in your heart.
Yeah, no, Jesus
Talking
and
about-
I are very,
I'm talking about
Yeah.
the divine appointments that he puts in our paths.
yeah.
And this might be one.
This
Yeah.
is no
And I
mites.
was
This
praying on that
is
too,
a
like,
divine appointment.
Sorry, this is
This is a
definitely
divine
one.
appointment,
My bad.
sister.
No, you're good.
How many people do you got beating down your door wanting to help you?
That's the thing is I've been the only person
I know.
for some reason, like when I, tried to kill myself, I was ready to give up on myself, and if I thought it was actually going to work, I probably, before this, like, I probably would have,
God got a plan for you.
but then at the same time, because I did for a little while after that initial got sent back, I kept trying to go back because I was just like, even if it is hell, like I was okay with hell. Like that's because that's what people told me was where I went was hell.
Right.
And I was like, well, I was awfully calm and I accepted hell. Like, and that's not okay to me. But at the same time, like that's what it was. I guess, I accepted my fate or so to speak, but then the higher power stepped in, brought me back. And then I kept actually for a while being stubborn, mostly. And just, it was like, my mindset was, I have nothing but trauma with brief commercial breaks of happy. And when I say commercial break, I'm talking like maybe 1 30-second commercial. Like that's what it feels like, And so like, why do you keep sending me back? Like, just let me go. Like I'm okay with it because
God has a bigger plan for you.
But yeah, and once I finally got through my stubborn, I knew, and I was like, okay, I gotta stop butting my head. But then, in having gone through what I got through, and even, with my struggles with my sleep disorder, with my addiction, with my mental health, it's helped me in my personal life and career, even when I was working, up until the last year, which now, I possibly have a job, but then I'm got to work out the transportation, but then right now don't even know.
So I feel like right now is best time to self-help.
Yeah.
Yourself.
And
not necessarily worry about that job.
Right.
Call those places.
Yeah, I would definitely.
And it don't matter where you've been. It don't matter where you're at today. It matters where you go forward from here.
Yeah, no.
None of that other
honestly,
stuff matters.
I mean, yeah, that team challenge, I'd do it. Like,
Okay.
Because, I have my family, they love me, I know, in their own special way, but,
they don't understand.
They don't, and they don't, they tolerate me.
Yes.
They love me as much as it benefits them to say it clearly. And, I hate saying that because I know, that's probably just me and my issues. But, I mean, I got put in a condemned house with no running water.
Right.
And barely electric by my mom and stepdad. And then it got condemned after a few months. And I know that was their way of trying to give me more time before I went homeless because of, me and my family, my mom being kind of casting dogs and my stepdad being protective of her. Oh, thank you. Like, and then my dad, he took in my sister. Like, my sister was kind of the wanted child. As much as they say we both were wanted, I caused the failed. They made it clear from a young age. I caused the failed marriage. I was the problem. I was always the problem, and so
because you were the child, you were the problem.
No, it's not that because I was a child. I was what caused my dad to feel responsible to marry mom in the first place because he knocked her out at a party.
It was an accident.
Yeah, I was an accident. I was oops.
So you was cursed from day one because they've told you that throughout the years.
And they may not have meant it as for me to take it that way, but that's how I grew up. And because I've talked to them about that, actually as recently as a few months, like I've been starting to try and like kind of.
There isn't anybody out there that's in that situation that somebody said they was an accident that they take it as it was a joking manner.
Right.
Even if the parents are joking about it.
Oh, yeah. Like,
they still take it to heart every time. Everyone I've ever met that way.
Oh, yeah. And like now, it took me until just this last year this year, like, and even with the pain and resentment of like, man, you guys knew I just got out of this.
Yep.
I just nearly was murdered by my boyfriend. I lost my longtime career because I worked at that company for 3 years. I was one of the longest under the house manager, senior staff and everything, and then I lost my car and then because of someone else overdosing, I called 911. I lost my home. And then you guys lied to me all the way up until the day I moved out and made me abandon 75% of my things and then told me I couldn't have my kid at this place because it wasn't safe. And then, and where you dumped me was trauma central for me from my childhood. On top of that, which I'm not even going that, but like, because that's a whole camera. But like, the whole thing is like, you guys claim you love me and you support me and you want to help, but then you lie to me and you try to make it to where it looks like you're being the good, loving, helpful parents. And I know in your eyes you really are, because I'm sure there's aspects of it I'm not aware of. But I sat there and been honest with everyone from day one about what I do, how I do, and been did my best to keep everyone and then I get treated like I would. It was just entirely a problem.
Sometimes it's hard to make those steps.
And so,
do you want me to call?
I mean,
do you want me to call and give them your information, and which one accepts you? I'll call you. I will do that
if you could, just because
it's hard to take the step.
Because I mean, like I said, I'd go tonight. I just like, for me, it's just more. I worry about like my I guess I perceive my responsibilities of making sure I have my things ready to go, making sure I don't have anything on me, because that's because that's kind of my we talked my way of
your way of quitting and coping is
knowing I have but don't use it. And so like I would want to make sure I got rid of everything, and like for me that's like, oh my gosh, but I want to do it, and so yes, please, thank you.
Got a pen and piece of paper?
Yeah.
Write down all of your information, your age, your everything.
All right, we're gonna call this. Yeah. We're gonna call this podcast. Not sure what this is gonna look like.
Sorry,
no, you're fine.
Yeah.
But so the hope in this podcast is that you just found that your way out, and you're gonna take it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And in 6 months, we're going to do another one.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a completely different.
I'm ready for that, and I'm ready for that, and I mean. And one of the biggest, like I was kind of talking about, is I with everything, I was alone. And, like.
Not alone, sister.
Yeah, that's part of what made me with David and everything. When he asked me was like, I've been actually debating trying to do something to like be able to get my story out so that, if I did ever get sober or better, then maybe some girl who's going through similar,
amen,
or could go through similar, could hear my story and go, shit, like she can do it, and I mean, with everyone who I come across as homeless, like I try to, like me, we all,
the Bible says
we all try to look out for each other, and like that's one thing. Everyone feels like they're alone, but at the same time, like we really aren't, and I get so caught up in my head.
Yep.
I know everyone does that. Like, even now, like, even though I'm like trying to make sure it's clear that like, my goal is to help others. Like at the same time, like I'm so wrapped up in myself and feeling alone and thinking there's no way I can help anyone, let alone me. Like, this could just blow up in my face. But then like, I'm glad I did this.
The Bible says that we overcome by the word of our testimonies, and we overcome by the blood of the Lamb.
Yeah.
He died on the cross for us to get rid of these addictions, to get rid of these habits and hang-ups.
And that, friends, wraps up another episode of Hope to Home. We'd love to hear your thoughts or any questions you have about homelessness or anything we discussed today. If you have a service to offer or a personal story about homelessness, reach out. We'd love to feature you on a future episode. And most importantly, if you're listening right now and you are in the midst of your own struggle with homelessness and aren't sure where to turn, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll do everything we can to help. For any of these, you can reach us at hopetohomecast@gmail.com or on Facebook at facebook.com/hopetohomecast. And be sure to join us right back here every other Friday for more inspiring conversations. Thanks for being with us, and remember, together, we can bring hope to home.